What is going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome. Today we are going to be going over some of the changes coming in 23, that good old Jordan season for us, with Season of the Wish, finding our 15th wish, hopefully. Now we will be going over some of our artifact mods that is going to make next season super crazy for some certain weapons, as well as those certain burns. Stasis, Strand, and Solar seem to be the go-to for next season, so we're going to give you a little guide on things to bring into next season, all the changes coming as well to some of that ability tuning and exotic tuning as well. So we'll cover a little bit of everything here in this video. So start us off right here. We're gonna have our artifact for next season. Like I said, Stasis, Strand, Solar is going to be our go-to 3 burns for next season. We're gonna have anti-barrier sidearm, unstoppable hand cannon, which is gonna make things very fun. We're gonna have unstoppable bow, as well as overload auto rifle, and finally for that first column, overload pulse rifle. Now on to our next 4 columns, some interesting perks that I think are gonna make next season very fun for certain weapons for sure. First off, we have Torch right here. While Radiant, deal increased weapon damage to combatants affected by Strand and Stasis debuffs. This is gonna make a nice fire and ice, plus it's very easy to get slow and that frozen on target, as well as Strand. It is pretty easy to get that unravel, if you will, on those targets. Suspend, anything like that counts as a debuff, so Torch is going to be very good. Also, Flint Striker, rapid solar weapon precision hits and rapid final blows grant Radiant. This is going to be super nice for that extra little bit of damage, and it will pair with a nice perk that we have as well in the next column. That perk I'm talking about is Kindling Trigger. Radiance causes solar weapons to apply Scorch to unscorched combatants, so that Flint Striker with Kindling Trigger is going to be pretty nasty. Next on the list for me, that definitely got me thinking, is this Blast Radius. Rapid final blows with rocket launchers and grenade launchers grants armor charge, so that nice deliverance, as well as that new grenade waveframe launcher that we're going to get, is going to be able to easily give us some armor charge. Heart of the Flame is up next. Casting your solar super grants nearby allies Radiant and increases the damage of your super for each nearby ally. So throwing that nice Pyro Gales on with your Titan, gonna be even more damage when you have those allies near you to give that nice increased damage to our supers. To me, a go-to for sure for that solo dungeon runs, etc., especially since we're getting that new dungeon next season. Solo Operative will be very good for that, so you get increased damage when you are the only member of your fire team. So it is real nice for those solo activities. Finally, in this bottom row down here, we have From Whence You Came, increase ability damage to taken or scorned combatants. This one is just interesting to me, meaning that next season is definitely going to be around taken and scorned. Probably that new dungeon is going to involve both, if not just one of them. Probably both, because it's going to be a Dreaming City ordeal, or so we think. So that one is just more picking my brain for that Destiny lore. Finally, for me, Dragon's Breath. Breaking a combatant's shield with a Strand or Stasis weapon has a chance to suspend or freeze that combatant. That is actually kind of crazy. Wearing Season of the Wish armor increases this chance, like just wearing the armor that we get, which is going to be all over the place. You can get super high stat rolls, I would assume, just like our past seasons, with whatever vendor we are getting for next season, like the war table, or taking it on over and turning those nice engrams in at the ritual table with Eris this season. You can get high stat armor, so I think that that's going to be absolutely nasty. Next on the list is some of the things that help us to stay alive. First off, Woven Mail is reduced damage resistance for PvE combatants from 55 to 45, so not that big of a change. Restoration is definitely getting a little change with some of that healing. Only 5 points per second in PvE, but that does add up, and 17.5 down from 20. In PvP, that's only 2.5, but again, adds up over that time. Restoration time 2, kind of the same thing, 65 down to 50 HP per second in PvE, and 32.5 in PvP, all the way down to 25, so definitely a big change there for that healing factor. Next off, we got some changes to Devour, which I didn't think was crazy overpowered, but we are getting these changes here. Healing amount, both on activation and refresh, reduced from healing full to 100% unless Feed the Void is equipped. So we're not getting full health, we're only getting 100 HP, which is definitely down a lot. Now refills both health and shield sections more smoothly, rather than adding health to each section separately. So that is a nice little change, I guess. Feed the Void increases grenade energy regeneration per Devour while your is kills. This active amount is based on the type of target defeated. So if you defeat a boss with Devour, you're gonna get an increased grenade regeneration compared to a red bar rank and file. Now also improves the strength of Devour healing when equipped. So when we have that Feed the Void on our Warlock going on, it is going to have the ability to give us more than 100 HP, it sounds like, because it is improving the strength of the Devourer's heal, which is going to be nice. So Warlocks definitely kind of got their Devour back, because it was only on Warlocks before, and then every subclass was able to get it with Void 3.0, but I don't really like the changes to 100 HP for that full heal. Now, for my PvP players mostly, and definitely some things inside of the PvE realm, we will not be able to sprint slide to activate our melee well after you fire your weapon. So if you're going in Crucible, you're a Titan, whatever, you slide a shotgun and then melee right away, you won't be able to do that. There'll be a slight cooldown based on the subclass and whatever the melee is, so you can see all of them that are getting changed. Seismic Strike, Shield Bash, Hammer, Hollow of the Storm, Consecration, Fletchling Storms, Lightning Surge for our Warlock, Tempest Strike for our Hunter. Every other one is for our Titan, but that is just some crazy nerf in my opinion to those. So it is going to be a nice little bit of change in my opinion for the PvP realm. Things like Seismic Shield Charge right here with Peregrine Greaves, as well as this dumb Lightning Surge that Warlocks use. It's just free kills. I use it with Karnstein Armlets to get my health back, and it was just broken. Now the time has come that every Titan did not want to hear me talk about. Banner of War and Throwing Hammer Bonk is RIP no more. Banner of War, first off, we have the increase in number of enemies necessary to level up the banner, so it goes up to ×4, which is going to take more enemies to get up to that. These values depend on the targets defeated, so again, yellow, orange bars are going to count more than red. Fixed an issue where unpowered swords were being granted the damage boost, so people were just tilting bosses to death, let's say, so that is being changed. Not too crazy in my opinion of a nerf to Banner of War. Now the big thing though is the Throwing Hammer RIP. When picked up, now returns melee energy over 1.4 seconds rather than instantly. 1.4 seconds in gaming is an eternity, especially in that solo content. Yes, it has been a go-to for a lot of people to solo content. We do have a lot of other options as well, but 1.4 seconds is so long in my opinion. Increased the projectile tracking of about 20%, which doesn't matter to me. It was pretty easy to hit targets. Yes, you did happen to miss here and there and throw your hammer off the map, but now it's pretty much useless in my personal opinion. Still gonna be okay for sure, but with the nerf to restoration as well as Throwing Hammer here, is going to be a little hard to run that solar Titan instead of some other subclasses that I really do love. On top of that, for that Solar Titan, Sol Invictus reduced sunspot duration from 20 to 12 seconds, which is a pretty short time, but you create them everywhere, so it's really not that big of a deal. More sad about that throwing hammer. Moving on to Well of Radiance and Ward of Dawn, both getting a cooldown increase from 417 seconds to 455, so not a crazy increase, just under 40 seconds, so not too crazy in my personal opinion, not too big of a nerf for either of these. Next right here, some very good changes coming for our Stasis Fragments. Whisper of Hedrons removed that -10 strength penalty. Whisper of Impetus now provides 10 resilience. Whisper of Shards no longer provides +10 to resilience. Whisper of Hunger stat penalty changed from -10 mobility and -10 intellect to 20 strength, so that's going to be a nice eat in your melee category now. Whisper of Bonds removed that -10 discipline penalty, so this is going to be nice, as well as a plethora of changes for our Hunter, Warlock, and Titan for that Stasis subclass. Too much to go over in this video, but the overall is that Hunter's getting a little bit of a buff in my opinion. The other two subclasses just kind of stay in linear, stay in parallel, if you will. Nothing too crazy change-wise coming for them, so I think that they will play about the same, but definitely Stasis Hunter is going to be a beast next season. Now, finally, we're going to just cover real quick the exotics that are changing a little next season for each subclass. So Hunter, we have the Shards of Galanor, the Ophidia Space Stompies are getting a little change as well with that lateral acceleration and that jump bonus. Mechanics Trick Sleeves for those sidearm damage. The Bombardiers is getting a change. Triton's Vice for that glaive melee damage, as well as Celestial Nighthawk. So that is everything for the Hunter that is getting changed. I'll make a little specific. They are on the screen as well, so you can see them, but this is what is coming for next season for our Hunter. Next up for our Titan right here, we got that Severance Enclosure Peregrine Greaves right here. Now have to be airborne for a little bit longer, which is going to be nice against Guardians, because in Crucible, this was so nasty that they could just hop and one-shot you. Worm God Caress, Ashen Wake, I absolutely love Ashen Wake. Synthoceps is getting a little change, as well as that Precious Scar. Don't worry, Synthoceps not too crazy, just remove that melee distance, improves weapon handling, reduced the PvE surrounding melee damage just a little bit, just 35%, nothing too crazy, but it gave glaive melee bonus a little bit extra, so nothing too crazy on the Synthoceps change in my personal opinion. Next up for the Warlock, not too many changes compared to the other ones. We got that Balador's Wraith Weaves, the Apotheosis Veil, Fellwinter's Helm, and Karmstein Armlets. So nothing too crazy with these changes as well. You can see them on the screen. Definitely going to be interesting with the next right here with the Aeon cults that I'll talk about in a second. So the Aeon cult, that Aeon Swift, Safe, and Soul, the exotic arms for our different characters, Warlock, Hunter, and Titan, getting some changes with the Sec of Force, Sec of Insight, and Sec of Vigor. Those are the three different options of mods that you can throw on those specific to that set of armor. So you can see these changes. Again, I'm not going to read them out. One, because I'm a slow reader. I don't do words very well, but there is a lot of information right there, so definitely look at it. Pause the video if you need to get that good view. But that is it for all of the changes coming next season in Season of the Wish. Getting a couple different weapon changes as well. Pulse rifles are going to be good, as well as sniper rifles and sidearms. In my opinion, those are going to be some 3 good weapons to use next season in PvE, but there is going to be a good amount of sand out-of-the-box changes, so we'll have to see how they play out. They look better on paper than they do in the game sometimes, so we'll test that out in the future. But this is everything coming via subclasses and that new artifact mod, so definitely be on the lookout for a lot of content coming out here. Prepping hard for this next season, only got a few more days, so appreciate all y'all. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.